and tights, and some kind of like knickers or boxer short things to relate to the dress. So in fact, if your underwear does show, it doesn't matter because it's part of fashion and part of the whole outfit. And so in fact, it's a very sort of covered up, prudish fashion. You can stand on your head, it doesn't matter.
Well, you really have thought this out. You have an idea all the way down the line, don't you?
Yes, I mind about women, and I mind about anything that's unnecessarily inhibiting, and anything that's ugly. If it's ugly, change it.
An offbeat point of view from the on-beat fashion designer Mary Quant. So if you have the legs for it, ladies, on with the tights. This is Arlene Francis for Monitor. Did I mention that Lee's now has 5 different carpet textures made from pile of springy Orlon 33 acrylic by DuPont? Well, these are carpet textures that you can't appreciate till you see and touch them.
Springier, bouncier, it's the carpet fiber that's livelier. Springier, livelier, made by DuPont, it's Orlon 33.
These 5, all made with Orlon 33 acrylic, are just 5 more heavenly carpets by Lee's.
Listen next weekend when Orlon 33 from DuPont and James Lee's Carpets again present Arlene Francis. You're listening to Monitor with all the best sounds of the weekend world, no matter where you may be or go in the USA. In Mankato, Minnesota, we're heard on KYSM. Right now, let's step aside for a word from all our NBC stations, and then we'll be back with more of Monitor 67.
This is Monitor, your guide throughout the evening on the NBC Radio Network.
Clown contest winners of a pair of tickets to the Shrine Circus will be announced tomorrow. This is Radio 15 in the Twin Cities, 21 above at 6:30.
Now we switch you to the KSTP NBC Newsroom. News headquarters for the Northwest, your authoritative news source, serving you from Minneapolis and St. Paul.
This is Stan Turner, KSTP News, Minneapolis, St. Paul, presented by the 9 offices of Twin City Federal, where safety always comes first and the return is always generous. Another major Twin Cities strike has ended after 17 days. Early today, members of Teamsters Local 958 of Minneapolis cab drivers began filing into union headquarters to vote on a revised wage offer from yellow and blue and white cab companies. Shortly after noon, by a vote of 165 to 38, they had accepted the new pact. Local President Joseph Bolnick outlined the terms.
Had an increase for all of our personnel, which we were very well satisfied with, plus our fringe benefits were increased, which we are also satisfied with, and the whole package in itself was very acceptable by ourselves and the members.
Joseph Bolnick, president of Minneapolis Cab Drivers Local 958. Details surrounding the apparent murder of 4 Watoma, Wisconsin residents will not be made public until tomorrow, when authorities say a suspect may be arraigned. The bodies of the victims, all shot to death, were found today on the shore of a rural Watoma lake. Deputies identified them as Marvin Baer, his daughters Barbara and Mrs. Carol McBriar, and a babysitter, Cheryl Olson. The question of U.S. involvement in Vietnam was the subject of a 2-hour forum today in suburban Edina, headlined by 3 national lawmakers from Minnesota. Democratic Senators Eugene McCarthy and Walter Mondale and GOP Representative Clark McGregor reaffirmed previous stands they have taken on the issue, with McCarthy the main critic of U.S. military tactics. Citing recent air and ground escalation, the senior Democrat said the conflict is now at the point where a moral judgment must be made on whether Allied objectives have been lost in the continued fighting.
I think we're at this point in which we have to try to weigh the one against the other, as to whether or not the harm, the damage, the injury, the death, the destruction on the one hand is proportionate to what we can judge or project as the possibility of good in South Vietnam. It's my conclusion that since this is in balance, and since the direction of our effort up until now has been by way of intensification and of expansion, with no indication that this was succeeding, that we ought to look very strongly to some kind of action, either in cooperation with other nations, with the nations involved in the action, or through the United Nations, if that's possible, or even by what is called unilateral action on our own part.
In an opposite view, Mondale and McGregor maintain support of present U.S. military policy in the South and the North. Today's forum was carried live on KSTP Radio. In spite of improved weather and driving conditions, the five-state region has recorded yet another costly weekend on the highways. Latest reported road fatalities include 20-year-old Robert W. Anderson of Moorhead and 17-year-old Shirley Schatz of neighboring Fargo, the victims of a car-train crash this morning near Dilworth, Minnesota. And a one-car mishap earlier today near Brandon, South Dakota, took the lives of three more young Minnesotans. They were 22-year-old Marvin Prins and his 17-year-old sister Diane, both of Worthington, and 18-year-old Dronell Macon of Rushmore. The executive board of the Minnesota Civil Liberties Union has announced plans to investigate the dismissal of Edward Richer, an instructor at St. Cloud State College. Richer claims he is the victim of what he calls a crude political crime. College president Robert Wick says, however, the decision was based on Richer's relations with other faculty members. We'll have more in a moment. Currently, the temperature in the Twin Cities, 21 degrees at 26.5 minutes before 7. You know, the worst of winter is behind us, we like to think, so the folks at Twin City Federal suggest that you mentally change the scene to spring. The world will be fresh and green, life will be great, and vacations will be coming up. But will it be a paid-up vacation with no financial matters? Well, why not make sure by stopping in at Twin City Federal? Start saving a little extra just for the fun of it, namely just for the fishing, camping, sightseeing, weekending, vacationing fun of it. Twin City Federal pays you a generous return for saving, the current passbook rate at 4.5% per year. So look ahead to spring, summer, and vacation time. Start saving a little more just for the fun of it. Save with the leader, Twin City Federal, 8th and Marquette in Minneapolis, 6th and Robert in St. Paul, and of course the branch offices in Anoka, Robbinsdale, Edina, Excelsior, Southdale, Harmar, Mall, and Roseville, and 56th and Nicollet, where the famous twin clock flashes time and temperature. And remember, you earn 5.25% per year at Twin City Federal on 6-month savings certificates, minimum amount now $5,000. The weather in brief for the Twin Cities and vicinity, mostly fair and colder tonight. At present, skies are clear. The winds are northwest at 16, the temperature reading 21 degrees. This is Stan Turner, KSTP News for Twin City Federal, where the famous twin clock flashes time and temperature. Portions of the news pre-recorded. Our next scheduled news at 7.
This has been a presentation of KSTP News, your complete news source, serving you from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hello, Brad Crandall back with more of Monitor. In this half hour, Jerry Vale, the Ray Charles Singers, an interview with Judy Garland, soon to star in the upcoming movie The Valley of the Dolls. All this, plus the latest news from the world of sports with Mel Allen.